In forza quella blu. Recupera Matteo. Ok, vai.
Architecture is a discipline that should try to be more generalist, meaning should try to tackle more disciplines itself. I'm really looking for transdisciplinarity. Eterotopia as an event for architects, but as an event for people that is interested in the development of the territory.
All the people are living in a mixed way. We don't have limitation of age, we don't have limitation of provenience, of professions.
We're not only architects, there were artists, geographists, sociologists.
We are not new, we are not going to solve anything. We are just going to make a lot of experiments and to create new visions.
Our aim was to explore complexity in the Italian territory. And La Maddalena is a perfect starting point.
On your right you will find Palau. Isola Chiesa tu vedrai due pali di cemento che quando entri giusto, ok, li vedi esattamente allineati. La navigazione è meravigliosa, perché nell'arcipelago è tutto così. Nell'arcipelago tutto quello che vedi ha una ragione militare, per una presenza militare, per una logistica.
Our workshop topic is outposts, the military heritage of the island. We are working about this amazing cultural background that the island has, mainly focus on these architectural abandoned elements that appears on the island, especially on the coast, and also a challenge for me and for the studio because all the methodologies that we are trying to put in use, sometimes even uncomfortable, but this make me challenge and feel like I'm learning too.
totems are the physical trace. They are like the human scale project. Even if they're totemic somehow, they keep their symbol in themselves. They're communicating the starting point of a vision. And we wanted something like, staying, floating, coming with us together with the program and events to represent this vision physically.
Our theme is the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, because the story is that the granite from here was used for the pedestal for the Statue of Liberty, and we took that, what happens with these kind of passive land use, with these spaces that we not actively inhabit, but that we just passively use by, for example, exploiting the resources.
I think we want to challenge our ability to find beauty in the reality, and also the sometimes very harsh reality of human production and human life.
So we know we live in the Anthropocene, which is an epoch where nature doesn't exist anymore in its pristine condition, but it's all affected by the presence of man. And therefore we can say, and that's our starting assumption, that nature doesn't mean that it's natural anymore.
Cosa ho messo il primo. Più sporca là dove aspetta e si attacca la gorgogna, questa roba qua. Quindi qualche cosa c'è in mezzo,
It's interesting to understand what is silence, because the silence it doesn't exist. In every time of our life there is sound. Our ears are the antennas of our world. We can really enlarge our perception. In this case it's very difficult because the key tone, the sea and the wind are very present in our landscape. But with the focused attention, you can understand that you have different kind of seas. You have the low sound of seas, you have the waves, you have different key tones and every sound. And for me it's very important the inner noise. It's not an architectural thematics, the topic, but it's important that when you have to do silence, you are not in silence, because inside of you you have a lot of thoughts. It's interesting trick this mechanism. For example, to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until 10, and we start.
The advisors were a really important part of the work. We're aimed to bring different point of views to the research. Tutors are young architects from the international panorama of architecture with different approaches from auto construction to the theoretical approach to have a diverse interpretation of the territory of La Maddalena. All of them are contributing to this big frame of contributions.
That drawing, because all of this graphic code will be related
You are free as your vocation to draw it, photography or shot. Okay?
Those days now to lay out the perfect group of a bike trail, but we can create an idea of.
So what's your theme here at this workshop?
Insularity, isolation and reconnection. So for us, the question is how to discover a new world, because it's new for us, which is not kind of new, because a lot of stories already happened here. And so it's a way to, we are trying to reconnect with the story of the place, artificial or natural thing, and also to see, express all the stories of all the societies that have been here.
Perfect. Thank you. 3 short statements.
It was very short.
That was very short, yes. But that's the whole statement thing. Such a big thing.
riuniti oggi per dare l'annuncio della morte di un progetto. Morto ancora prima di nascere. Grandi erano le aspettative, le speranze che accompagnavano questo progetto. Finita la ricca occupazione militare americana, un'intera comunità era pronta per voltare pagina, ma fu il fato che, imprevedibile, consegnò il progetto all'oblio. La bella addormentata, come un fantasma senza riposo, vagava, rimanendo nello stesso luogo, per i sogni dei maddalenini. Visibile, ma irraggiungibile. Aperta, ma inaccessibile. Pubblica, ma inutilizzabile. Siamo qui oggi convenuti per dare eterno riposo a questo progetto. Perché, come una fenice, possa rinascere dalle proprie ceneri. Non ha futuro ciò che non ha memoria di sé. Ama. Un brindisi.
Su corda.
Salute.
Corda.
Cheers.
Corda.
E viva il progetto.
E viva il
progetto.
Noi vogliamo dichiarare oggi la fine di un progetto, la fine di un futuro che non si è mai realizzato. E lavorare perché da oggi ci sia un nuovo inizio, un altro, da trovare insieme. L'unico modo per farlo è chiudere questa storia. Siamo qua per questo. You ready?
The totem is for us a very creative entry point into a discussion. In pure anthropological terms, totem means some kind of a sacred object or a sacred space which is held sacred by a particular community. It's also a kind of marker of defining that community. For us, it became a symbol of understanding what this particular building meant in La Maddalena. And we feel that it somehow, the whole story of it represents the story of a certain kind of capitalism which is in crisis, and we need to tell a new story. In many ways for us, it's an anti-totem because number one, we don't believe in just a totemic symbol as it is presented to us, and number two, we actually believe in this case it is an anti-totem because it was almost non-existent.
Il futuro che non ha memoria di sé non può essere. Allora, queste sono le memorie.
Oh, your dad is rich and your mom is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
I started to come in Maddalena when I was 5, so I spent here as part of my life. Also for this reason, really strongly involved in this project, in this amazing project. And for the same reason, I was also involved in the unsuccess, in the, let me say, in the failure of this project. But I'm still here. I'm still investing all my energies in the potential restoration of this place. And I really hope that something will happen in the next months. Architecture and politics are sharing some common values. They both have to do with space. The two spheres are quite different, and basically because if politics, it's normally horizontal, so what you should do is to create the condition for decisions that need to create other conditions. So it's like an horizontal, continuous attempt to move and to balance better the condition for action. Architecture is vertical, so what you do is to target, to create, put the energies in trying to arrive at a certain moment to define one unique physical configuration of a possible future of a space. I think it's so great to see you all here, and this is not a G8, it's not a G30, this is G123, and so it's a demonstration of how much individuality should play a crucial role in the future of the planet. My question is to ask you, how could you represent the future of the planet? Which kind of metaphor, which kind of reference you'd love to use?
Desert.
People. Potential. Networks. Community.
A miss? Dialogue.
Cooperation.
Artificial intelligence.
Symphony. Compassion.
Empathy. Harmony. Tolerance.
Eterotopia.
My first arrival by sea, by night, in this puzzling labyrinth called the Maddalena, whose architecture was entirely unconceivable, just looking at that amount of light that was shining around me. So Maddalena is that complexity.
Poi ritorniamo su quando abbiamo finito. Ok? Va bene. Senti, allora questo qua è... Cerco l'estate tutto l'anno e all'improvviso... Va bene, no? Così va bene. Faccio un segno con un coltello. Tieni un attimo che va giù. Tieni un attimo. Fa leggerti il ferretto. Vabbè, sì, per me va.
We have been assigned the theme of Archipelago. We tried to interpret it in a way with this theme of immaterial connections which are happening through the elements of the archipelago. And we are still developing it with the students, but we will end up with a layered story of what's happening inside the individual situation of the archipelago. This is for us a similar topic of what we do, but it's very interesting to be inside one Eterotopia.
Non, dans l'autre sens. Non, tourne encore. Voilà. Voilà, comme ça.
All these elements we try to recollect them into also what the students and the participants did during the workshop, creating these little elements, these little maquettes representing different kinds of mausoleum that we want to live in all these places that we can recognize as tabula rasas in this island.
And actually, like, we were looking during the workshop at the tabula rasa as a place where we can, in a way, experiment new form of tribalism for the La Maddalena island.
We have the responsibility to think about economical things and factors, because as architects we used to think a lot about theory, research and inspiration. It's okay, we need it, but most of the time we really have the responsibility to bring all of these ideas with local economy and local mechanisms. So the reason why we are here in this place is all over about this, because we can have many projects about problem solving of islands, of the sea, of the national park, but we have to understand their point of view. So we are here to understand how the people can perceive all of the thematics that we give you as topics, main topics, and try to give our perception.
Ready? Yes! Do we have the stone? Yes! So, 3, 2, 1, go!
E altrimenti arriva qui che ci sta un isolotto romano che dà fastidio.
We want to not just focus on tourism in the normal way of doing a path and just randomly check on the cities that you travel through, but we would like to turn back the vision and make the tourists to feel more like pioneers and feel more the perception they have in the spaces and have visions around the spaces they enter to and play with it.
Eterotopia for us is it's a self-contained world which has new rules. So when you enter it, you can recreate a world as you imagine it.
For me, is a boat with a tree in the middle and on wheels.
It's something that Michel Foucault was using in order to rebalance the notion of utopia.
A space of conflict, spaces of contradiction.
A heterotopian place for me, an interesting experimental field or a testing ground that is then very strongly connected to the rest of the world.
All the work we have done, it's basically a proposal. Not only to architects, but the entire society.
Radical way of approach to the territory.
In a single moment we can connect so much factors, so much elements, different at the same time, but that they gather in the same moment.
If we probably worked in a different way, the future that been different from one that has been realized. So Eterotopia means also that we have different futures in our present. So it's up to us.
Even if it's just 10 days, it's a matter of like relationship. So it was creating something intense in terms of human being relationship.
When you put much more elements in the developing of a project, for sure the results will be more rich.
I believe it will create collaborations for the future.
We think it's really important to create a strong relationship between all the participants, but even the locals.
So we need diversity, and we need diversity to be discussed and to find a consensus in order to build a strong vision.
So also to have a spectrum not only on what is important for this place, but also what is important for our generation of researchers.
Through the study of this territory, we investigate the whole frame of our epoch, also in architecture.
I'm very happy that the region found our proposal or project, of course, at the beginning. Interesting because they believe, and this means that public money can still be used for interesting, not just events, but projects.
Member of the team Eterotopia, we met in an international workshop, and then we created our group. So it's for the future, for the present, for the fun, for everything.
We put everything together, and apparently it was cool, and I'm really proud of it, actually. It was I enjoy it. I didn't work on it, I enjoy it.
So this beautiful international trend here, I think it's so important to build this sense of belonging to a time, a space which has to be about being open, being ready to exchange, being ready to talk to people and to hear what people tell us. there's one big challenge is to keep architecture alive. We are not sure the world needs architecture today. The things go so fast. The economy is so powerful that you hardly can keep pace with architecture. So the first task for the architects is to understand how architecture is still useful and important to the world. Architects never use the word future. Architects are about the present. I think the architect's task is to keep this dream, this will of doing something good for the space where people live.